Hey, how's it going, guys? Nate here, and just a couple days ago, Fallout 4's Survival Mode beta dropped on Steam, available to PC users, and it's been out for a little while, and I've sunk in maybe a good 5 to 7 hours into it so far, and I thought it'd be a good idea to give my opinions in a video. That way, if you haven't played the mode yet, you can kind of get a good idea of what you can expect when it does hit your platform, or if you are a PC player and you have Fallout 4, you can just opt in the beta and play it for yourself. Without further ado, let's do further. So first, I really want to talk about beds and saving and sleep, because this really is what's going to segue me into other topics. So the only way to save your game in Fallout 4 is to sleep in a bed, in which case it autosaves and deletes the previous autosave. Meaning, say you get in a gunfight with a band of raiders and you die. You are now reset to the last bed you slept in. So say you decided to sleep in a bed, you played for 3 hours somehow without sleeping, and you die. You lose all of that 3 hours. All that progress is gone. And oh my god, is that not a brutal feeling? Because oftentimes you'll find yourself thinking, nah, I'll get by. I don't need to sleep right now. And then you die, and then you think, oh my god, I should have slept. And I consistently had that realization time after time. And now it's at the point where every time I see a bed, I'm sleeping in it. I don't care. Now, one of the things that makes you not want to sleep in beds, however, is the new adrenaline mechanic. And this is something completely new to Fallout. I don't even think modders have created this yet. And what adrenaline is it's accumulated over time that you're fighting raiders or whatever. The more time you're awake fighting raiders, killing mutants, what have you, the more your adrenaline accumulates. And adrenaline makes you do more damage, makes you move a bit faster, gives you a bit more health. It makes you more efficient in general. However, every time you sleep, your adrenaline is reset. Meaning, on occasion, you'll be faced with an important decision. You'll be in the middle of a gunfight or something like that, or you'll be approaching what will very well could become a gunfight in just a few seconds, and you'll see a bed nearby, and you'll think, okay, do I sleep in this bed and save my game? That way, when I do encounter these raiders, and if I die, I'll at least still be able to just reset back into here, rather than 45 minutes behind me. Or you'll think, okay, well, wait a minute. Do I sleep in this bed and do that saving nonsense, or do I keep my adrenaline as is and fight these raiders, because I'll have a much higher chance of beating them while my adrenaline's high? Because every nap you take resets that adrenaline again, and adrenaline does become a very, very important thing that you're going to want to keep an eye on. So that was one of the things I consistently had to think about, but almost every single time I opted to sleep in beds. I recommend you do the same, because every time you make the decision, nah, I don't need a bed, I found myself regretting it. So please be careful with that. Another key point about survival mode is travel. The fast travel option in survival mode is completely gone. Not a zip. It's not there at all. Meaning you have to physically move from place to place. And initially, I thought of this as something pretty cool. I thought, wow, this will be awesome. I'll really get to embrace and take in the Fallout world. However, that decision, or that belief, I guess you can say, has really catapulted into something else. And I have trouble formulating a decisive opinion on this. Because on one hand, denying yourself the ability to fast travel does make you take in the world a bit more. It also makes you plan a bit more strategically. Oftentimes, you'll find yourself carefully selecting companions, looking for trade caravans so that way you can follow them and get their extra protection. You'll find yourself desperately searching for water sources, or you'll be stocking up on water bottles before you go on a long journey across the map. But then again, you'll also get very, very bored of this very quickly. It does become quite monotonous, especially if you're trying to get through the quests, because oh my god, you don't know how far across the wasteland these quest lines send you until you actually have to physically walk from place to place. It's like, oh, hey Preston, you want me to go all the way across the map from Sanctuary to Diamond City and then come back to you? That does take up a lot of time. And I wouldn't be surprised if just physically walking from place to place took up almost half of my playtime in this mode, and that did get very frustrating. So much so to the point where I stopped doing a lot of the quests just because I figured, you know what, I'm not walking there, I'm done. So one of the tactics I've adopted that hopefully you guys can emulate as well and make this a bit easier is I'll accept every quest I can, and then when I'm in the relative neighborhood, I'll do the corresponding mission, and so on and so forth, what have you, rather than directly walk from place to place. And I've adopted that strategy. So far, it's worked out relatively well, although it's definitely hurting how efficiently I make it through the game's quests. That said, however, if you do join the Brotherhood of Steel, you gain the ability to call in a vertibird, which, oh geez, that is so helpful. That almost negates all that fast travel stuff I mentioned earlier. That vertibird will help you out a lot. and I highly recommend on your first survival playthrough, you push to acquire that, because I know a lot of people want to play the Institute or the Railroad, but the Brotherhood of Steel just makes it so much more convenient. Anyway, I digress, I move on. Another big problem with the removal of fast travel is you'll be halfway to your place and then, oh, congratulations, here are a bunch of super mutants that want to mess that up. And oftentimes those super mutants will win, and then congratulations, you're sent back all the way to the last bed. So travel will be something you have to be very careful about. You'll want to prepare. No more can you just press B on your Pip-Boy and teleport to places like that. It does require a lot of calculation. Going on with that calculation tangent, I guess you could say, is you're going to approach raiders and mutants very carefully now. Oftentimes, I chose to completely just ignore and pretend raiders weren't there and opt to change my path when I was going somewhere. If I found an encampment of raiders before survival mode was out, no problem, baby. I had my full power armor, I had a Gatling laser, they were done. Now, I find myself thinking, okay, if I decide to fight these raiders, chances are I could die, in which case my progress is set back a good 15 minutes, and that's very likely. These raiders are very tough in survival mode, and there's a good shot I will die. If I do choose to take on these raiders, however, I can take their stuff, which makes me a more efficient player in general. So that's a consistent debate you're going to have internally quite often. Furthermore, moving on and kind of carrying with that segue of wanting to take stuff, is your playstyle being a good Samaritan? Oh god, it's so difficult to upkeep that now. Because now, everything matters. Before, as I mentioned before, I had a Gatling laser, full set of power armor, I was good, I didn't need anyone's help, I'd help everyone I could because it didn't really hurt me. Because before in Fallout 4 without survival mode, you could help a lot of people because it was really just convenient to do so, it wouldn't set you back that much. Now, it's not that convenient to help people, it sets you back a little bit and you'll think, hey, you know what would be convenient is doing the exact opposite of helping this person. You think, hey, do I kill this NPC who's done nothing but great things to me only to take their stuff and things for me to sell and eat? Or do I let them live at the cost of not getting their stuff and things? And initially, when you play Fallout 4 without survival mode, that seems like a relatively obvious decision if you want to be a quote-unquote good Samaritan. It's like, yeah, you know what, stand up for the little guy, right? Because you can. But in Fallout 4 survival mode, it's a little less convenient to stand up for the little guy. So it's like, oh, hey, little guy, you know what? Why don't you stand up for yourself every once in a while? Sorry, Trash Can Carla, I need your goddamn sugar bombs. And I constantly found myself thinking that and trying to justify what I was doing. In a sense, I almost understood why the raiders did what they did. It's like, yeah, I can get that in a way. But it just changes the way you look at Fallout 4. It changes the way you play it, and I think that's what survival mode is so great at doing. You approach the game with survival mode enabled as if it was something entirely new. It's very Dark Souls-y in the sense that every minor victory you get means so much more than it would otherwise. Every 5 bullets you acquire feels like you just got 20 without survival mode. Every time you die in survival mode, you feel like you just died 10 times in the normal game. So I think that really does matter, and those ramifications as they're amplified really just changes the way you approach this game. Every decision now you make much more strategically because you risk dying or you could possibly achieve gaining more gear and what have you. So overall, I think survival mode is definitely a worthwhile thing to at least consider. I'm not really sure yet if survival mode is for me, personally. As I mentioned before, I'm just not sure if I can get over the monotony of traveling from quest to quest. But even if that monotony stands, and even if every single death I suffer sets me back 30 minutes, I can still appreciate the game mode, and I'd highly recommend, as soon as you get the opportunity, to create a new character and try it out. I wouldn't recommend using your old character, though, because you're not going to be allowed to switch difficulties. You will have to stay there, so I would highly advise that you create a new character and start playing from scratch. Also, you can invest perks in the appropriate tiers to better yourself in that sense. And all that said, I'm not even entirely sure if we've really scratched deep enough in the surface yet. There's still a lot of new features with Fallout 4 survival mode that I haven't gotten into, and I don't think I could get into in a single video. There's starvation, there's diseases and antibiotics. there's a lot more that goes into this game than what I talked about. I was really just trying to get out the core of what survival mode does and how it just changes everything about it. So I would highly recommend you give this mode a shot. If you've got Steam right now, I recommend you download the beta, experience this game mode for yourself, and try and make the decision of whether or not this is something you'd want to allocate any serious amount of time towards and work towards. Or if you're on console mode, it's a little less streamlined. We're not entirely sure of the exact release date of survival mode, although Bethesda has said that they want it to be maybe a week or two after the PC, so it should be coming out anywhere from the next couple of days to the next 14 days. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I gave you some sort of expectations for what you can really expect from Fallout 4 Survival. But thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Peace, everyone.